Yeah, so my story is that I started using substances, not a lot of the harder drugs when I was in my teens, and that kind of continued for a few years until eventually when I got into college, I started using other things like methamphetamines for a few years, and I think that for me it was an issue because I definitely felt addicted to it immediately about that, and so I used it pretty much every day for a couple of years. And then when I got tired of that, I started doing heroin on the streets to replace that, and it definitely worked. But then I was stuck with a whole new issue, and then eventually it was kind of everything all together. And eventually, pretty quickly, actually, it took me um, kind of on the streets without any resources or family support. Pretty quickly, and I had been to treatment centers, inpatient treatment centers, 3 or 4 times in that period, and a lot of it didn't. I wasn't really ready for it at that time, I guess. Even though I thought I wanted it, it was like the addiction was strong enough where I would go back pretty much because I didn't have any real coping skills. And the situation that got me in the hospital was that I was on the street around Broadway and Capitol Hill in Seattle and in the Belltown neighborhoods, and then was using heroin on a multi-daily basis to the point where it did uh, break down all the vein access that I had. So it took me a long time to be able to get the drug, and eventually I had to start doing intramuscular injections, which was what gave me the necrotizing fasciitis infection in my leg, and that happened in about a day that it destroyed all the tissue in the right leg. And when I went in there, I didn't know that I was in there because I was put into a medical coma, so I was in that for about a month. And then when I woke up, all the skin on my leg was gone already. So you can guess that there was a lot of pain because there's a lot of exposed nerve tissue, and the debridement surgeries was about, I think I had 2 dozen in the first month that I was in the coma. So there was a lot of trying to get back that necrosis that was happening, and through that I had a bunch of more skin grafts when I woke up, and then also the skin grafts that were brought. And I think that actually the pain from the donor sites was the most painful part, and that continued for about another month or two because I was in heart review for about 3 months. And I was on a high amount of pain medications, so I know it was still pretty ineffective as far as coping. Um, so that's kind of what got me into the hospital in the first place, and it was just I had some good and bad experiences in the hospital.